Hello, my name is Roli Seth, and I am working on the cutting edge AI as a principal product manager. In this course, I will be walking through how to build AI taste skill in this vibe coding and multi-agentic world. This course will be divided into four parts. The first part will cover what is AI taste in this multi-agentic era. How do you define it? Second section will cover why do we need it? What if there is no AI taste? How can we bring differentiation with these capabilities? So second section will cover about the why. The third section will be the most interesting for all of you guys, where we'll be talking about a two-part thing. One will be what framework to use when using AI taste, and second, making a hands-on project end to end where you can show your differentiation and unique capabilities of having AI taste into your own project. By the end of this project, you will have a project portfolio on your GitHub or other places to show as part of developing this new skill set. And finally, the fourth section will cover when part of it. Of when do you use AI taste? Is it good for all the scenarios? Or there are certain consideration, fallback option, how do you calculate AI taste is working or not? So without much ado, let's start with seeing what we'll be demoing today and you'll be building hands-on. With this four parts framework around what, why, how, and when. Let's see.
So this is the website that you'll have by the end of this project. Let me scroll through quickly to show how is it different. This is actually a video. As I'm scrolling, you might see the scrubbing is happening in a performant way. So you learn the tactics of how to include multimodal assets like video, but make it interactive with taste skills. Even here, this is not a normal marquee text animation marquee. How do you include these kinds of text animations effects? We will also learn how do you create these kinds of multimodal assets and include tech skills like GSAP animation libraries, three.js as part of your creative workflow for taste building. This all has been built within Claude Code, so you'll also learn how do you use Claude, how do you enable and leverage Claude Code skills to bring these kinds of interactivity to bring the differences in your vibe coding development. This is another example of as I'm scrolling, you can see smoothly how the text is becoming from blur to very clear. These are all again tied to the taste building. It's not just any kind of text showcase, but having that kind of interaction models. Here, one of the interesting things is beyond just interactions. These are SVGs icons created within Claude Code itself. And we learn how do you create your own personal theme and style SVG icons within Claude and add these kinds of interactions then to that. And finally, there are more examples like these, but the final sections also has this fun kind of globe. You learn how to create it as part of the taste building skill. So this is very interactive map using some of the JavaScripts that you can enable, but also you can add on by showing different types of data across the globes. It is very popular. We'll know where it's being used, but these are the kinds of things we'll start learning. How do you bring that kind of mindsets as part of the workflow? So let's get started to see how do you bring this kind of fun interactive website for your own project. Cool. Thank you guys. See you in the next section.
Before we start the hands-on project, let us walk through some of the basics and understand it so that you and me are both on the same page. And this will help you as you evolve and create your own AI taste system eventually. So AI, what is AI taste? AI taste is basically building more personalized system with human and AI collaboration system. And these are the four sections we briefly covered. We'll be going through in today's session. AI taste. It's about
as you might be seeing, it has become so easier nowadays to generate an LLM output, no matter what artifact you're looking from documents to websites, to multimodal artifacts like videos, songs. With so many outputs, that things are becoming so generic that because of the data, that people want to see some differentiation experiences and even the output quality. And that's what differentiation and personalization is AI taste aims to bring, which is an evolving and trending area currently, as LLMs are generating more outputs, but those are not human trustable at this point. So AI taste is basically, there's a gap between what AI produces by default and what a skilled practitioner needs it, and that's where the human connection or human involvement comes in the AI systems, that you have to blend in the human outputs of taste skill, taste habits, not just rely solely on the LLM system. So you might see this example that I created. On top left, you can see a basic website I created using Lovable. Although some of the keywords and prompts I used were create a modern website, create a clean looking design, and I was expecting it to use some kind of modern colors, etc. But if you see on the top left, they were just plain because I used the word clean. Clean doesn't always means empty. Clean doesn't always mean that you can't use colors. And that's where this is an real example of taste brings in. So what I did was, eventually using some of the taste skills, I converted the top left output into the bottom right. And that's what we'll be going through, of what are the things you can bring in to bring that kind of taste, so that your innovation or your work looks more exciting and interesting. Is taste applying to only just front end or websites? The answer is no. It applies to multiple other things. It applies to different kinds of multimodal assets you're creating. How can it be differentiated? It applies to branding needs, also asset intelligence. You might be having or working with customer or different types of data, but when do you fetch or when do you show what kind of data? That asset intelligence into different aspect comes into play here. There are also things like motion engineering, interaction designs. Those things like are very core part of the AI test skills. Even things in backend like production safeguards, safety, other things, it's about adding by default the trust ecosystem as part of the AI taste. So this is basically just going through in verbatim what we talked about just a few seconds ago. It's about understanding what an average looks like and systematically overriding the development beyond that. You might ask, is stays the real differentiator at this moment? Maybe not now, but I'm seeing, I love analyzing trends, and one of the things I'm seeing is this skill, especially in product managers and even engineers. I'm starting to look beyond designers and other multidisciplinary areas, is starting to become an important output or important skill that people are looking for, especially even the top companies, including Anthropic and other ones like OpenAI, where they're trying to by default have people which are multidisciplinary in nature and can bring that kind of unique perspective to the system. So AI taste in my world means more about, when we say about moving something generic output to very personalized looking, is building that human trust by design. By design, you know what are the things people are looking at, that it doesn't look anymore like a phishing site or just using a plain. If you would have been creating things with Claude Code, you would have realized the purple color palette is very popular, but it is now also a trademark to show that you didn't apply any taste, you just went with the standard default in this. So people are starting to notice those kinds of things too, and the trust is going where human has not been put in as a co-actor in deciding the workflows and deciding the outputs here. So yeah, that's trust with AI, and AI taste goes hand in hand. And AI taste, according to me, is going more into the trust building system of agentic world even. So the top three areas of why to have AI taste in your day-to-day work is it will help you in AI democratization into wider audience who will have trustful interactions with your work. It would remove and get away from the default nature of sameness and help bring that differentiation. And the practitioners who will start building this AI taste skills will start to see the differentiation of how the industry will start to leverage more of their skills beyond just LLM standard LLM outputs. It's not just a fun stuff. AI taste is serious in terms of tying into your production pipeline of changing companies or organizational metrics and KPIs. From NSAT to retention rates, we are starting to notice that people are starting to have those kinds of metrics around how taste and differentiation has enabled and increased the success metrics of a project, because the at the end of the day human trusted it and went and came back. And these are not big interactions, it could be even tiny interactions of loading, how the loading was different, because sometimes, for example, the agentic things could take a lot of time to create, and that is a gap area where some kind of unique interactions could play and taste could be brought to that. So now the most fun part, how do you build this AI taste into your workflows? So we'll be going through four-part framework as part of the hands-on project. We'll understand the inspiration. How do you find inspiration? Then we'll learn for this project, how do you invoke skills? How you then build. We'll be using Claude Code for the third step in this workflow or framework around build and iterate. And finally, we'll deploy and evolve as part of working with GitHub and Vercel. Before we go more into hands-on quickly in a minute, these are the tools we'll going through. These are a lot of tools, I know, but you don't need to use all of them. This is just to show end-to-end process of how taste can vary based on your needs, but you have access to these tools for creating some of these that could be help in your portfolio building too as you're working with the AI system. So VS Code will be our top choice with combined with Claude Code CLI. If you want to integrate multimodal generations, we'll be using Google Gemini and Kling AI. For video, Google, GitHub and Vercel will be using for deployment. And also we'll be walking through for taste specific skills, how certain libraries like GSAP, three.js, FFmpeg for your video files could be helpful, and things like Playwright and Claude could help you in simulation and testing whatever you're building with taste actually works for the audience for cross-platform needs. As part of getting started for the hands-on project, I've created a personal assets and folder for you. So make sure to first go to this OneDrive link that I've shared with you guys. Go to the first folder, and which is some taste skills that I've created. One is around GSAP interactions, how some of the animations and movements can be integrated, and another one is fun 3D interactions with three.js that we'll go through in few minutes. So make sure to download that folder, and also download the other folder I've provided for you guys, which is the assets we'll be using it. I will walk through how do I use these assets. These include images, videos, SVGs. So yeah, download both these folders and then open VS Code. As part of this project, my understanding is you have some basic understanding of VS Code. If not, I'm happy to do a separate walkthrough of VS Code and Claude Code. So for getting started with Claude Code, we'll open the terminal. But in parallel, if you'll see, what I did was I just created an empty VS Code project. Within the VS Code project, I've created two folders called .claude and assets. And if I just open it up, within that, it just has the assets that we just downloaded from the Google Drive. So as you can see, the skills are there within .claude/commands folders that we downloaded, and assets are the images and other assets we created. For getting started, we need with Claude Code a Pro or a Max license. I have my personal Pro license for this one. So all you need to get started is just type Claude, as you can see on the top in the terminal. Once you're in this mode, we can just go and ask Claude to use the skills and create a website using the skills that I've just added. So what we did here, we asked for a HTML website creation specifically to promote an AI consultancy named ARA AI, and asked Claude Code specifically to use the two skills that I've added about the taste around GSAP and data globe skills. And that was all. That's the prompt I gave after adding the assets. It ran through, and as you can see, first it was understanding the skills that I had provided. Then it started leveraging those skills to create animations, scroll based animations, scrubbing, parallax floating, 3D globe, which would not have been possible if you were not using this taste skill. Next, it also noticed as part of the skill I was having FFmpeg call, which was trying to optimize my video for website scrolling and navigation and make it more interactive. So that's another fun element about FFmpeg when we were trying to mention is as part of this, it automatically get installed for the skill. But FFmpeg is a great library if anyone is interested into doing more with data scrubbing, video, and just performant also, making it performant. So what FFmpeg does here is it takes a video file, converts into frames and keyframes, and those keyframes can be mapped to the scrolls or any kind of other interactions like zoom in you want to enable. So that's the other piece. Then if we notice, it try to find how do you optimize the video as we were talking about FFmpeg, optimize the videos, then started matching based on my video, found the right color palettes, which should not have been in general with the normal skills, it would have randomly picked up. But with our skill, it was able to map to the assets that I had around holographic and neon. That's what you're seeing it mentioned here, cyan color palettes, etc. So it tried to find that and everything. Then it finally created a website with basic HTML. We can go and create other websites also, but this was a basic one where if you notice, it went and created hero sections. And the technique, the main points that I want you to focus here on is the techniques it used are all taste-based skills where staggered card, word by word, opacity reveal, scrolling, the interactivity of parallax, or clip-based image reveal or video scrub are all enabled with the skills that we have by default just by giving one line to use those skills. And for previewing it, let's see how it looks. This is how the site looks. And as I was showing earlier, as I scroll through, this was the video file. I'll show you in a minute how the video file looks and how just based on the scroll, just notice I'm moving up and down. It is moving up and down based on the scroll also. And this different skills. So here also these are interactions that you can move around and yeah, the reveal. So yeah, within few minutes, if you notice, it just created all of it just by leveraging the skills that I shared. And even if you hover on it, you'll notice that it's glowing slightly. So all those elements of interactivity have been added. Here also the globe is interactive, so I can move around with my hover cursor control thing. But the project doesn't end here. What we will next do is ask Claude 1 to create a repository in GitHub. So hopefully you should all be having some knowledge of GitHub, but just if you not log into the GitHub and open and start a new repository like I'm doing here and say AI taste sample project. You can call it something else too. And I just created a repository here. The visibility is open for now. But what I'll ask next is I'll give this repository link to Claude and say upload the project that it has created on this folder or on this repository. So I copied this and went back to Claude. Help me add this project to this GitHub repository. Let's see what Claude will do now. It found that it was empty, so it's trying to initialize. So it is having issues with video upload because of the size limitations. How about we say, can you condense the video using FFmpeg to, to allow it for uploading on GitHub? So you will notice here that it was able to compress using FFmpeg, as we were mentioning earlier, the video files, and now it by default, it just found out how to stage and now ready to push into the GitHub. If for you guys within Claude Code, GitHub, and VS Code, the GitHub has not been connected, Claude Code would also ask you to first sign in. But currently for me, it's pushing in the changes. If you see, the GitHub was able to by default stage it, and Claude Code, through the help of Claude Code, push the changes, stage it, and upload all the things. So if you see, the assets are there, index file is there, and if also says Claude help me with this check-in. So this is pretty cool, right? Next, what we'll do is, since we have this ready, now what we'll do, this is pretty cool, right? What we'll do is we will next go to the Vercel, which will help me deploy this website. Go to a new project and Vercel, and within Vercel, the good news, if you'll see, is Vercel automatically figured it out that I created, because I'd connected GitHub, I've created a new GitHub repository, and it's asking me if that's the one I want to use. And I was like, why not? Yes, import that project and help deploy it. So Vercel started deploying. Oh, the website is quickly deployed within few seconds, I would say. And I like the cool animation on the top. Continue to the dashboard. So it created a domain for me too. Wow, this is pretty cool. So do you understand what we just did within few last 1-2 minutes? We not just took a code which was made locally using the AI skills that you used, even the taste one, not just put it on GitHub, but also deployed. So this URL is now no longer on your local site, but on a is not on a but on a public which you can share with the world too. So nowadays, that's why the power of AI development, this end-to-end process of leveraging and updating has become so easier that you did not even start with the website. And if I scroll through, seamless animations within Vercel. So congratulations, your project is ready. So the workflow I use to create some of the assets. Let me show you quickly. One of the things I have is I use Gemini within Google AI Studio because that lets me control behind the paywall specific version of new access of the models of Nano Banana and other things that I can use. Some of the recent ones I used. And after that, I went to Kling AI, which is a website for creating videos. If you see here, I just gave, if I try to edit, that will show, generated from an image with the image input that I had given. Let me go and edit it. So just by using, if you notice on the right side, just with a start image, I'd not even given a prompt. I could have, but for this one, I did not even give a prompt. I just gave an image and it created this video. Kling API. And another one on the assets of SVGs. I just enhanced Claude actually. So let me show you a cool fun thing within assets. Claude can create SVG icons too. So it's like create SVG icon about computer or laptop in holographic style. So it's starting to see, but this is just to show you how this asset was even created. So as you can see, based on your needs of the assets you want to use, which I had created for you guys, but if you want to create more for SVGs, you can directly create Claude Code for images and videos based on your tool preference, Gemini. There are other tools also like Midjourney. For videos, there is Google also has its own, but I personally liked Kling AI, so I use Kling. You guys that will have a look of what's inside my paste skill actually. And if you go for the GSAP interaction one, these are just text-based one, but it also gives you some more instructions. And this was all written by Claude Code itself. So basically you can create your own custom skills too. If I scroll through, basically for using GSAP library, it guides the Claude saying, hey, these are certain kind of taste parameters that you can include as part of your content creation or vibe coding. The first section is about parallax floating effects you can create. And we were referring to FFmpeg, video scroll, scrubbing, optimization. This all came from this skill. How do you have overlay icons? So the SVGs we created, how do you overlay and mix and match, have interactivity around it? So these are just feel free to go through on your own, but these are certain things that we have mentioned. Nothing fancy, entire description about how to use FFmpeg, and similarly, the other data globe is also walking through about what kind of three.js library that you use for rendering, and then you create a mesh out of a 3D globe. 3D globe is one of the parameters you use from 3D library, three.js, and how do you add certain kinds of material and animation of the line. So this is all coming from this library. Before we wrap up, the one thing I would also like to mention is there's something called Playwright. If you guys have not explored, Playwright helps you simulate and do actions on your behalf on things like browsers. So we can use Playwright to test if your website is working properly or not. So just give the instruction. It's a library you would need to install. For me, it's installed. So I'll just give the instruction. If it's not installed for you, just ask Claude to install, and it will help find and install the Playwright library for you. Can you use Playwright to help test? To help test if my website is working properly. So this will try to simulate the behavior of scrolls and see if the right actions and parameters are being called. So this is as simple as just simulating and testing some of the basic behaviors that you could help and try out as part of your workflows. So I'm so excited. Hopefully you liked it in going through end-to-end project, but also learning some of the principles and developing your own insights. Definitely, as I'm mentioning, the taste skills, you can build your own taste skills and share with the world too. I think that's pretty much covers end-to-end quickly in a short 20 minutes time span. I would say as more and more content is being generated, almost for all the things CI taste will be included, from prototyping to scaling to just handing off projects when you want to make sure that other people using could be maintaining the high bars. There is a broad spectrum that you can use it. And just to summarize the what we discussed or went through so far was, remember this as we wrap this project up, is AI generates but taste curates, and curation is the future.